Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the differences between demo bindings and traditional bindings, and we're going to show you how to adjust them, the benefits and cons of having them, and why you might want to have a pair of demo bindings in your quiver. So the first thing to note with demo bindings is that they're much more adjustable than traditional bindings, and that's because there's this big plate under most demo bindings. The plates can be different. These are the Tyrolia Tax demo bindings versus the Marker Griffin traditional bindings. And what the plate allows them to do, much like the rear of traditional bindings, is just move to fit different boot sizes. But on demo bindings, the plate is much bigger to allow for many different boot sizes. On traditional bindings, you get a max of 1 to 2 boot sizes at a maximum, and the toe piece does not move, it is fixed. On demo bindings, both the toe piece and the heel piece moved, so you can fit just about any size of boots in a demo binding. Additionally, if you don't have a huge boot size for the binding, you can also move the center point of the boot or the mounting point of the boot forward or back a few centimeters by moving both the toe and the heel piece center back. And these long tracks allow for that. And I'll show you a demonstration of that at the end. So now we're going to touch upon the other pros and cons of demo bindings. Some of the big pros are that they are usually a bit cheaper. They're a bit easier to come by, and just about every company makes them. They allow for much more adjustability. So if you want a ski that you can share with your party or with your friends, demo bindings are a great choice. And if you're using a bunch of different boots, demo bindings are a good choice. The other thing that's really nice about them is the adjustability, like I mentioned, a couple centimeters front or back. But that is very helpful if you want an all-around ski. These are the Candide Thorvex 3.0s, and why I have demo bindings on this ski is because it's a park / powder ski that's really fun in a lot of different conditions. So a lot of times throughout the year, I will use the demo bindings to change how the ski performs. So in the springtime when it's slushy and I want to do some mellow, thick slush park laps, I'll move these more to the center or closer to the Candide line, and I'll ride park on these, as they were made definitely to ride park as a freestyle powder park ski. But maybe when there's deep snow where I want a little bit more all-mountain performance or alpine performance, especially in deep snow, I'll move the center point back a few towards the all-mountain range, and that just gives me a little bit more float, a little bit more alpine performance, and then I'll use these as a powder ski, off-trail type of ski. So that's a major plus of having the demo bindings over traditional. So now we'll get into the cons, and there are a couple to keep in mind. So the first con is that they are going to be heavier because they have these plates. These are solid metal plates. Some of them are plastic, but it will add a lot of weight to the binding and make them a heavy binding, no matter which ones you get. Second of all, they're going to give you less performance. They're typically going to be set a bit higher than other bindings. Not all of them, as you can see, they're kind of comparable to the Griffins. But let's say if you wanted look pivots on here, they will definitely sit higher than the pivots. Also, the big plates do hurt the flex of the ski and don't allow it to flex as naturally, which you can definitely feel makes for a more stiff ride underfoot with kind of, these have soft tips, so the tips and tails can be pretty soft, and the center is a bit more supportive. which I do like in the ski, but in general, it does hinder the performance of the ski and the ski flex. Another thing is that demo bindings are notorious for releasing too early because of their nature. They're just not as precise when they fit into the boot. They're plenty safe, but they have a history of pre-releasing. I have a funny story. I was actually in Utah dropping into Baldy Chute on demo bindings, and they did pop off. And I did have them set up by a ski shop. I didn't do anything, different or crazy, and they just popped off. Now, I do trust these bindings. Like I said, I do ride park on them, but I don't go really crazy with demo bindings on. These attacks I do trust more than other demo bindings just because of this make and model, but typically demo bindings are going to be lowered in and easier to come off, so you can't quite trust them as much as traditional bindings, which is why people go with traditional bindings, because they give you that solid feel in the binding and they're less likely to come off, less likely to have any issues, but they're much less adjustable. So I do trust these. I do ski park and rails and medium jumps on these, but I'm not going to go crazy on these doing huge jumps and huge gap rail tricks and anything like that. So these are more of a cruiser powder day type of setup for me personally. That's my opinion. People can have different opinions, but that's, in my experience, the cons of demo skis or demo bindings. Another big plus with demo bindings, one last one I'll mention, is that you can typically pick up a demo ski with demo bindings a lot cheaper than another ski, and you won't have to remount it as long as the demo ski isn't mounted too far back or too far forward for your liking. So you can usually get these pretty cheap. So with that, I'm going to show you just some close-ups of the differences. So you can see the track here, the lack of track. This just has a button and it moves, which I will demonstrate soon. Back here, it does have a plate and it can move, but not as much. So you can see here, bigger track, much bigger track, and a lot of movement. So now, I'll show a little demonstration. Hopefully I can with one hand, but I'll do my best. So you can see these are set up near the all mountain line, so they're a lot further back than these guys. And this is the same binding. So this one up here is a lot closer to center, and this one back here is a lot closer to all mountain. And it can still go back pretty far, so you can see what I'm saying. You can definitely get several centimeters of difference, giving you more tail or less tail, more center ride, less center ride. So I'm going to adjust them quick to clear up a lot of questions I've been getting. And there goes my boot. So they're quite easy to adjust. So they were at the all mountain line, and I'm going to try to move them to the Candide line. So these are set up at 31 to 308. So I'm just going to flip this switch. You'll see how easy it is to change them. 331, I believe that's right. Yep, you can see. Maybe you can't. 331 on the line. And then I'm going to come back here to this one. And I'm going to adjust these to try to match 331. Should be in this 327 to 334 area. And then we're gonna put the boot in. And that was not right. I needed to move it up. What am I doing? Let's see. Yeah, much better. So you can see the heel is perfect. It may need to come back one click or two, but as you can see, the center boot line is much closer than where it was. And I can go up maybe a little bit more. And you can see now this line here, this boot line, is definitely a few centimeters up from the all mountain line where it was. And what that's going to do is just give you a more centered ride. So overall, as you can see, demo bindings, they have their place. I would recommend them personally to someone who is more of a beginner or wants to play around with the center settings but isn't going to be riding extremely hard. I would also recommend them as like a beater ski or for your friends and family ski if you wanted to just swap in and out. I would just recommend that when you get the ski, you take it to a ski professional and just have them make sure that you're doing everything right and setting them right. Once you know what you're doing, you should be easily able to change them, but you want to make sure there's enough forward pressure with this setting or they're not too tight. So with different boots, you may have to adjust the AFD too, but that's in a different video for adjusting ski bindings, which I will make and put in the playlist. So below this video, there is a playlist linked in the description of all my other binding gear reviews and all kinds of stuff like that. So feel free to click the link below. Leave a comment if you have any questions or likes, any comments, anything, and watch some of my other videos and see what other bindings are right for you. So with that, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys out on the mountain.